For us to communicate effectively with people from other ethnic groups, we need to have a good command of English language. You cannot talk to somebody from Hausa land or Yoruba land or any other ethnic group without having a good command of English language.
For me to belong and for me not to be isolated, I have to speak English so that I'll be able to move with others and move with society.
Started to learn English in my high school from grade 1 to grade 6, I think, grade 6 to 12, and it has been somehow difficult because there is a tendency to think in your first language. Particularly, like we were more francophone here in terms of doing business in more important activities. You think in French, then you try to translate into English. That's the first difficulty. But I had probably the opportunity to have good teachers, because that's also depending. You see how efficient and how effective are the teachers in languages, and particularly in English. That helped me, first of all, to like the language itself, and so I made a lot of efforts to learn. And when I started my professional career, I discovered very quickly that I need absolutely to perfect my English. Though I know that I still have to learn more, but I have tried my best because I also have been lucky to be a globe traveler. So I've been in countries like Malaysia, like Hong Kong, China. You go then the other side of the continent, the world. You go in the US, in Canada, you go up in Brazil or Argentina. Yes, they are speaking, for example, they are Latino countries, but the second language is always English. So it's easy to communicate, to travel even. And then so I decided really that that's important for me. In terms of business opportunities, of course, even in terms of job, you will be more employable if you are bilingual or trilingual, or you are polyglot. I don't know if they say that in English, and then that's important. So for me, it was an asset. So I decided to really try my best to master it and to speak it correctly.
English is important to our business because we're in the business of communication. We're in the business of ideas, receiving ideas, interpreting ideas, and working with those ideas to meet a client's needs or requirements. So for that, our staff need to be able to interact with the client. They need to be able to communicate amongst themselves, interpret an idea, work with the idea, and then give it back to the client, or produce it or service it for the client in a way that serves them in the way that they had hoped for. So English is very important because across the line, people are communicating different levels and also on different subject matters. It opens up our business definitely to new markets, also because our environment is changing dramatically. We're part of a much bigger community now, so we have a lot of new players in the market with different demands. It also requires us to communicate with a much wider circle of people, both within the country and also outside the country, neighboring countries particularly. And now that we're in the East African community, most of those are English Anglophone countries and English-speaking countries. So it is very important for our staff to be able to communicate, not just internally, not just within the country, but also to our suppliers and other partners that we have further afield.
The reason why it is important, I believe, is because English is one of the international languages which is spoken worldwide. And in this region, the East African community, the countries which make up the East African community, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, Burundi and Rwanda, the majority of them do speak English, which means that the students, after learning English, will be able to look for jobs from the neighboring countries. So it will help them to have a wide range from where to get jobs.
First and foremost, it's going to promote socialization among students. First of all, I can give an example of East Africa. Want to bring East Africa as a whole, it's like one country or one nation. So since using one language, it's like people from different countries, we've got different cultures and different languages. At least we can use one language to unite us. We can understand each other, we promote our relationship and our friendship.
English is important generally because of globalization. We are at a time where the world is combining and transforming itself into a giant village. And English is a common language that is used in the process of globalization. As a student, English is important to me because I can use it to express myself more. And because English is more progressive than other languages, it grows as the world grows. And in order to compete in this growing world, we need to know English. As a student again, I read a lot of books, and most of the books that I read are English. My favorite authors like Edgar Allan Poe and Jane Austen primarily write their books in English. I could read the translated versions, but it's not as exciting as reading the original one, which is written in English. There's a one-to-one feeling and connection you create with the author as you read. And because most of the books are written in English, including the textbooks I learned, I think English is very important.
In the hotel industry, our prime objective, whether we are five-star hotel or less, is to provide a personalized service to our guests. So in order to deliver personalized service, language becomes very important. And therefore, our employees are expected to speak in more than one language. From my experience, English language is widely spoken by our guests, and therefore we expect our employees to speak English very well. But unfortunately, quite many of our employees at the recruitment stage are not in a position to communicate with our guests very well. So in order to bridge this gap, we organize in-house English training. If our schools and colleges are in a position to train our employees English to the level that we want them to be, then we wouldn't have incurred this additional cost to train them in.
The most important reason
a critical component of this media because we believe English is the international language of not only business but communication. And the fact that there's close to 80 million people in Ethiopia, both our economy, both regionally as well as internationally, is linking with the rest of the world. And we feel that we need to create an English-speaking population in order to become part and parcel of that international community. And thus, our medium, the reason why we picked English as a medium, is not only to speak to the diplomatic and expat community within the city of Addis, but also to speak to the young up-and-coming Ethiopians in regards to speaking and learning and pronouncing English in a better way.